Hi, I'm Loraine Ballard-Morrill. Thank you so much for joining us here for Stay Informed with AARPPA. We're going to be talking about your financial future. That's everybody's goal, is to have a comfortable and secure retirement. Well, we have some folks here who are going to tell us exactly how to achieve that. We're joined by Martin Booker. He's a program manager at AARP. He's dedicated to financial education to help people not only make money, but to keep it. We also have Dr. Chandra I. Williams, Vice President of Community Manager for Chase Bank. She has over 15 years of senior level financial background. Well, I'm going to start with you, Martin. Tell us, what are some of the challenges that seniors face when it comes to their financial future?
I think that's a great question. So when it comes to some of the challenges that we've seen so far, I'm going to start off at just talking about the thoughts around having enough saved for retirement, right?
Yes.
So AARP, they host a financial trends survey a few times a year, and we survey a lot of individuals, typically 30 and over, to just have that conversation about what are we seeing? What are we hearing? How are people feeling when it comes to their finances? And one of the findings that we've seen that's increasingly growing is people's worry around, will I have enough saved? Will my savings last in retirement?
Right.
We're starting to see that as a big question, a big concern for folks. Another thing that we're hearing is the expenses that people have, right? So the healthcare cost, taxes, repairs, as you have, you may have that home that you've had for years. They're concerned about the repairs that now have to take place. So these are some of the things that we're seeing as the challenges, is how do I make sure that my nest egg will continue to last as long as I will?
Right. As Martin says, that is a challenge, certainly, making sure that you have enough money to be comfortable and also to deal with some of those unexpected expenses, like, for instance, repairs that might happen in your home, and also just making sure that that you know what all the resources are that are available. What are some of the challenges you see that seniors face?
Agreeing with Martin, seniors want to know, do I have enough money? And then they also want to know, am I going to be able to take full advantages of the resources? And so, one of the things we really encourage is that just like you go and see your physical doctor, you go and see your financial doctor. So it's very important that you meet with your branch managers proactively so that you'll have those relationships to talk about what's coming, right? Because your income is going to be fixed, but your debt is still going to be increasing, right? So we want to make sure that you are having that relationship with your branch manager so that you can talk about the resources. Accounts at banks are going to, shift. They're going to transition. And a senior may not feel adequate enough to understand, right, the new products and the new fees and all of those things. So making sure that you have that relationship so that you can talk about credit, you can talk about your debt to income, you can talk about the new products and services that will be coming out as you continue to age.
Martin, a lot of seniors are thinking to themselves, wow, I should have been planning a lot sooner, but it's never too late, right? It's never too late to start working on your finances. And I wonder if you can share with us some tools that seniors can take a look at to help them with that.
That's a great question. So one of the tools that I've been using, I use it myself, but it's also a great tool for anyone. It's a free tool. It's called AARP Money Map. This is a great tool that you can use to work on multiple aspects of your financial situation, right? So you can start with things like your unplanned expenses. If you have emergency expenses that come up, right, we always do, right? Something that comes up and then you get this unexpected bill in the mail and you're like, how am I going to cover this? AARP Money Map has a module that helps you walk through what to do in that situation. But then there's other modules such as our savings planner or our budget tracker, right? So that we can make sure that you're on track and that you're managing your finances in different aspects just based on where you are. And then there's other things to look at, like our AARP interview and advisor tool. It's a great tool for, as Dr. Williams mentioned, you have to think about, you want to talk to your branch manager, but then there's also there could also be that other level of professional that you may have to talk to make sure that you're truly planning out your finances. And AARP created a free tool to protect and educate individuals around finding the right type of financial professional.
Right. Yeah. Now, Chandra, I know that that this is not necessarily something that's in your field of interest, but when seniors are starting to look at their finances, what are some of the things that they need to really consider when looking forward to making sure that they have a secure future?
Sure. So you want to take a look at, whether you're working or if you're on like a fixed government income, where will I be, right? So what do I already have planned if I'm already working, or if I'm already on a government assistance program? How is this going to change, right? Resources such as budgeting, right? And again, I want to be mindful that, seniors, everyone is not technologically savvy. So we want to have that balance of sending them online and also that walking into the branch, right? So, online we have the budget trackers, and we also have another resource called Credit Journey, right? So, we want to make sure that they are pulling their credit every year, because something could come up as an emergency expense, and you want to know what your credit score is. You want to know how fast can you get access to capital. If you don't have it in your bank account, can I get my hands on some credit? So ensuring that, you are utilizing all of the resources that are out there, but a budget is really going to be crucial, because that's going to tell you how much money and what your income and expenses are.
When we deal with government programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, I'm sure that there are a lot of seniors out there who really are at a loss of figuring out how to navigate through all of the bureaucracy and the red tape that comes with those government programs. And I wonder if you can tell us, what are some resources that people can take advantage of to help them?
Yeah, and I fully agree. Lots of red tape. There's so many programs, right? It's like this universe of products and programs that at our fingertips, but in some cases it's hard to find. And then you sign up late. You didn't make the cutoff time, so that can become really tough. So in those situations, we want to make sure that people are aware of what's out there. So I want to mention a couple of places to look. So one, by state, AARP offers a site through our AARP Foundation. If you go to aarpfoundation.org, you can actually find a by state breakdown of all the federal and state programs that are available for you. So we have things like the Low Income Energy Assistance Program that can help someone who may need to, get reduced energy costs for their home. There's also SNAP programs. There's tax, in every state we have the tax aid, where you can have assistance with free tax preparation. There's also legal assistance in most states, right? So you can also find a place where you can find legal assistance if you need that. So you want to make sure that we are looking into those programs and knowing what's available to us. But then also another great organization, the National Council on Aging, they also have what's called the Benefits Checkup, where you can walk through and make sure that all of the benefits that you're eligible for, you're actually taking advantage of.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, great program. So like the that's NCOA Benefits Checkup. Great program, but they're going to make sure that you have everything that you're eligible for at this time.
Yeah, also, we need to mention that there are different deadlines that people need to be aware of. You need to sign up for Medicare at a certain time, and if you forget to do it or you don't get to it, then you're stuck for another year without having it. And the same is true for Social Security as well, correct?
Yes, with Social Security, you have to sign up. Typically, you want to make sure that you've applied for Social Security at least 90 days before you actually need to start taking it, right? So there are timelines for these programs. So you want to have those conversations, and for that you could, if you want, you can go to ssa.gov. But you could also go into your local office and have those conversations as well. You can sit down with someone who's going to make sure that you're getting all of your benefits and taking advantage of them on time. Yeah. When we talk about things like Social Security, we have to also remember that there's not just a retirement benefit. That's what we're all used to, is that monthly check that we can get, or that monthly income that comes after retirement. But there's also the Social Security disability insurance that you can receive. There's also a death benefit that you can receive, and that can be received if someone that's caring for you financially was to pass away, and you still need that assistance. You can take advantage of the death benefit. So there's multiple programs that are available to us. And as you mentioned, there's timelines, and there's a lot of guidelines around how to sign up. So go into your local Social Security office to make sure that you've learned about all the benefits that are available to you.
Yeah, get that money. Now, back to you, Chandra. A lot of seniors are victims of scams and financial misappropriations. And I wonder if you can give us some tools or some ideas of things that we can do to protect ourselves from those?
Sure, and you'll hear me continuously go back to the branch manager, right, at your financial institution, because if you have a home health care aide, if you have a family member, because a lot of scams and frauds normally happen with people that you know, right? Mm-hmm. So people who are taking care of you, who have access to all of your financial documents. So ensuring that your local branch that you transact your business with knows your habits is very, very important, because you have people that you're sending to the bank to make withdrawals, to make deposits, and they might not always be the most honest people, but your local teller or your branch manager knows your habits. They know if there's a sweepstakes or lottery scam that someone is giving you a check and told you to come in, or telling you to buy X amount of gift cards, right? We are at Chase, our branch staff is trained to be able to de-escalate and have conversations with persons who come into the bank whose patterns are being broken. You want to be mindful of, and this may seem funny, but you want to be mindful of romance scams, right? Yes. You want to be mindful of people who take advantage of a loss of a loved one, right? They know you're a widow, and they know that you may have come into insurance money. You want to be mindful of computers, right? Computer scams. You may get a phone call for someone who says, we heard that something is going on with your computer. Let us get into your computer, and then folks will look at your passwords and they'll ask you for passwords to get into your computer. And so we see typically a lot of romance scams. We see a lot of caregiving scams. Mm-hmm. So I would specifically say, get a lockbox in your house so that you can put all your documents into that lockbox. So we see caregiving, we see romance, we see the grandparent scam, right? Someone calls and says that this is your granddaughter or grandson, and I need you to wire me some money very, very quickly. So grandparent scams, and then contractors, right? You want to make sure that you get referrals as it pertains to contractors, because there's a lot of development going on in communities. And so folks are just walking up and down the street saying, I'm doing a kitchen on your block, I'm doing a roof around the corner, and I wanted to know if you needed those services as well. So you want to make sure that if there's something that needs to be done in your house, that someone from your local church, someone from your senior citizens group, a family member, makes that recommendation.
One of the last things that people often want to talk about is a will, because then you have to think about, I need a will, but people tend to put that off. But we know how important that is, how important it is for your family, for your survivors. And I wonder if we can talk about some things related to long-term care, estate planning, end-of-life financial considerations, the type of things that we tend to put off, right, until the last minute, or maybe beyond the last minute.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, those are the things that we put off because the thought of thinking about it is always tough.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Who wants to think about being incapacitated, or who wants to think about death in that way, right? But it's like we have to plan for it, because we know, some things can be inevitable. So we have to prepare for not if it happens, but when it happens. Mm-hmm. And in that case, we do want to think about, what are the services that can be provided? How do we look into things like a free or low cost will? Mm-hmm. How do we have a trust set up? Do we even need a trust? In some cases, with the assets that we may be passing down, you may not need a trust necessarily. Mm-hmm. So, if we think about if most of my money is in a retirement account through a brokerage, in that case, I can make designations, and I may not need to pass it down through a trust, which could cost me thousands of dollars to set up. As long as I have the designations in place, I can be in a pretty good position to make sure that my funds are passed down without having to go into things like probate court, where I have to find a legal person as well as pay the additional fees for probate. But so we want to make sure that we've talked to the right type of professional, which is usually going to be your estate planning lawyer, or make sure that you are having that conversation with someone at your financial institution to make sure that all of your designations are set up properly. When you have life change that happens, be it marriage, divorce, death, you want to make sure that you've prepared, that you've made the appropriate changes to your designations, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a new child, I have to now make sure, or a new grandchild that I want to have I want to have them receive some of my retirement funds. I have to make sure that I add that information to my documents and to all my accounts.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that we're having those conversations. You can look into some of your legal aids or legal aid societies to make sure that because they may offer you free or very low cost assistance with a will or with some of your estate planning documents in that case. Another great place to look for long-term care and to learn a lot more about long-term care is AARP.org's caregiving information. So we talk a lot about long-term care, caregiving, the financial aspects of caregiving, as well as just caregiving in general, how to be a caregiver, how to prepare for caregiving. We have a prepare to care workbook that we actually provide for individuals so that you can learn how to properly care for a family member, know all the resources that are offered, because caregiving is expensive, even for the caregiver. So we want to have the resources there to make sure that you know how to do it in a economical way, but then also in the best way for your family.
I love that.
And I was going to say that that's a family conversation,
It is.
right? We think about how someone passes away and the family knows nothing, right? They don't know what's going on. They don't know what policies that the family had from work or policies, supplemental policies. So those conversations should really be had at least quarterly, right? Because things change quarterly. So it's really a family affair, right? That we sit down and have those estate planning conversations, especially when it pertains to, certain things that are included like real estate and, like we said, pensions and insurance policies. It's a family conversation that should be had at least, if not biannually, quarterly is good, but at least twice a year.
And if you're afraid to have that conversation, the one thing that I'll mention is write it down. Put it in a document, write it out. You can almost do it like a letter. And the good part about having the conversation is that now you have the opportunity to have that exchange and make sure that everyone's comfortable, because this is your legacy. But then lastly, if you don't want to have the conversation, write it down so that it's organized, so that your family is prepared and they know all of your last wishes. They can respect your legacy and make sure that it's done in an organized way.
Well, as we close out, I know there are community centers across the country that Chase has, and one right here in Philadelphia. How do they find out more about that?
Yeah, so you can go to chase.com for all of those financial resources and tools that we talked about, the budget builder, the credit journey, but also you can find out about the 17 community centers that were specifically created for financial health and for nonprofit organizations to be able to come in like AARP and to partner and collaborate on financial health. Philadelphia's location is at 52nd and Walnut, but you can go onto our website and find out all the locations in your cities.
Well, AARP is rich with resources, so tell us where we go to get all that information.
Yes, so start with AARP.org, and depending on your topic, if it's fraud, you can go into AARP.org/fraud. If it's money and investments and Social Security, you could go and look at our Social Security Resource Center or AARP.org/money to learn more. And I want to make sure, as we talk about scams, that I do mention our AARP Fraud Watch Network and our Fraud Watch Helpline. You can call in and have real-time conversations about the latest scams, and you can report your scam so that people are aware of what's happening, and just be prepared. And all of these resources are free.
Fantastic. Well, this has been amazing. All these great resources, and you can always go to aarp.org/PA for things specific to Pennsylvania. We want to thank you so much, Martin Booker, who is a program manager at AARP and also engaged in educating people to better understand not only how to make money, but to keep it. And Dr. Chandra I. Williams, Vice President, Community Manager for Chase Bank. She's got a wealth of experience that she's shared with us today. Thank you both for joining us here today. Hopefully that helped you get a jump start in making sure that you have a comfortable and secure retirement. Thanks for joining us. Stay informed with AARPPA, and I'm Loraine Ballard-Morrill.